recording.
Okay. So who we are, Concilio Latino is a network. Grassroots volunteers create this network of individuals and organizations working with the Latino community in West County. And we meet monthly. We identify needs, we share resources, information, and advocate for gaps and services in the Latino community at the local, state, and federal levels, and specifically address the needs of the monolingual Spanish-speaking community. Concilio Latino partners with coalitions of diverse civil and human rights organizations to advocate and participate in activities, events, movements towards social justice for all underserved, underrepresented, and targeted communities. And I'm going to present myself. My name is Jessica Peregrina. I am a Richmond resident, parent, mental health worker, and I volunteer to co-facilitate Concilio Latino meetings once a month with Consuelo.
And our land acknowledgement, we recognize that we're presently on the lands of the Chochenyo, Karkin, Ohlone peoples, and we acknowledge them as the first inhabitants of the land we're currently occupying. So we're going to add that to our introductions as well. And
at this, go ahead, sorry.
And my name is Consuelo Lara, and I was recruited years ago by our friend, Honorable Genoveva Calloway, to help Jessica facilitate the Concilio, which is about 16 years old, or probably more at this point. Okay.
Okay, so at this point, we're doing introductions. You're welcome to say your name. And we forgot, Consuelo, to mention one thing that we do to take care of ourselves, or one thing that we did this week to take care of ourselves. And I'll mention one thing that I did. I really tried every day to walk my dogs and get some fresh air.
Oh, okay. And this week I bought a whole bunch of indoor plants around, and it really looks nice. I'm going to try not to kill them. So goal for them to not die. But I just love it. It looks so beautiful. Okay. All right. Let's, who wants to go next?
I'll go. Patricia? Hello, everyone. My name is Patricia Ponce. I live in the city of San Pablo. I am a newly elected city council member. And I am here just to support this group and to get the same kind of support from them. I was introduced to this group by Genoveva Calloway and Consuelo, and I am really glad to be here and to see some familiar faces. Thank you. Oh, one thing I did for myself was to go out for a walk in the marina. I'm trying to constantly do that just to get away from the computer.
Good.
And that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. Next. Feel free to jump in.
And I'm a retired school public health nurse from the local district. I've been with Concilio Latino since Antonio Medrano and Genoveva co-founded it. And I'm here in behalf of Healthcare for All and East Bay Peace Action. And I did for myself have time to get myself organized. And so I feel like I know where I am on what and can go forward. So that's put my mind at ease.
Thank you. Who's next?
I can go. My name is Jessica Barragan. I'm a volunteer tutor learner coordinator with the Literacy for Adult program known as LEAP. We've been around since 1984 and we're an extension of the Richmond Public Library. And what I did for myself, I like to go on bike rides a lot. So I went on a bike ride yesterday to kind of just unwind and also walk this little guy who doesn't want to leave me alone.
Cute.
Thank you. Who's next?
I'll go. Ryan Brown with Congressman Desaulnier's office. You'll hear more from me a little bit later, but something that I did for myself. I haven't done it yet, but I'm doing it tomorrow. I am going to just be gutting my room and deep cleaning the heck out of everything, and then putting it all back with the table so I could have a home office in there, as opposed to my kitchen dining room table.
Great. Okay, next. Feel free to jump in.
I'll go next. Good morning, everybody. My name is O3 Christian, and I am happy to be here. And I am newly elected to the school board of West Country Coastal Unified School District, and I'm happy to be here to serve our community.
Thank you. Is there anything that you do to do self, or you did this week to share with us? The self-care.
Wow. It's like I just been on Zoom all this week. I need a break. Actually, I like to go fishing. I'm gonna go fishing. Probably try to do that tomorrow. That's my relaxation, being by the water. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah. Who's next?
I can go next, Jessica. Hi, everybody. Happy New Year. This is Cecilia. I am a community organizer with First Five Contra Costa. I organized in Central and West County, helping to grab some amazing parent volunteers. And something that I do is I actually use Zoom to meet with a friend on a daily basis to exercise. So we see each other over Zoom and then we exercise together. So we use it.
Really cool.
Good to see you all.
Good to see you, Cecilia. Sounds great. Who's next?
I can go next. I have a quiet moment. Thank you for welcoming me to join this group. My name is Christy Resigno, and I'm the Director of English Learner Achievement and Literacy here in West Contra Costa Unified. And if I'm off camera or on mute other times, as I put in the chat, because I'm also helping my son, you might hear in the background, with his class at the exact same time. So happy to be here and part of this group. One of the things I do to take care of myself is I exercise. It's not with a friend, it's alone, and it's before everyone's awake and going on a masked jog. It's the one time in my day that I'm actually alone. And also we try to have at least one day per weekend, even though it's tricky, be completely screen-free. No meetings, even no TV, no anything, because there's just so much screen time throughout the rest of the week.
Thank you. Welcome. Who's next?
I can go.
Oh, sorry. Hi, everyone. My name is William Collin. I'm with Catholic Charities of the East Bay, and then Know Your Rights coordinator. And, happy to be here for the very first time. And one thing that I did for self-care, I think at least 3 or 4 days a week, I cook with my husband dinner, and I think that we made that time overtime. So it's very, relaxing and in a way to, after today, just have a time with him. That's amazing.
Thank you and welcome. Who's next?
Hi, I can go. This is Taylor with Congressman Mark Desaulnier's office. I'm gonna have to hop off soon, but I'm here to support Ryan. Hi, everyone. Good to see you. For this week, I I'm really proud of myself for actually the same as before. I actually have cooked every day this week. I actually made lunch and dinner. So not only am I saving money, but having fun, eating healthy. So that's my self-care.
Cooking. Good. So welcome, Taylor. And who's next?
I'll go. I actually have to first thank Jaime because I didn't know about this until he passed the info along. So it's really wonderful. My name is, everybody who knows me calls me Sherry. I'm an LCSW. I am relatively new to the area. I've been here almost 4 years, but I'm still learning where in the community to plug myself. I lived in Denver for many years. I'm an Air Force brat who's lived everywhere, and I've come to be a real advocate for immigrants. And I used to be a special ed teacher, so I care about a lot of those other things too. So I live near the marina in the live-work complex called Artisan Cove in Richmond, right? So I can walk down. One of the things I do with my dog is walk down to the marina and take a breath. But I also love photography. I'm a salsera to my bones. So when I'm really stressed out, I'm jamming on my music. Let's see, I'm an inclusion specialist. I want to know about the community so I can figure out where to apply the things that I want to do. And so if there are questions later, I'd love to connect with people who are connected to the things that I'm talking about so I can learn more.
Welcome, Cheryl, and LCSW in the house. So it's so nice to, you know, share that. Okay, who's next?
I think that's almost everybody.
No, okay, I guess I'm the last one. No, but I think there's other people, at least one or two other persons that haven't spoken, right?
Oh,
can you call them? Because I can't see it. I'm on the phone.
okay, go ahead, Jaime.
Okay, my name is Jaime Catter, and I no longer live in Contra Costa. I now live in Vallejo, but I travel just for pleasure and sometimes for work. I travel around the Bay Area. I enjoy going to Sacramento, so that I guess that's one of my things for pleasure. I like going to Sacramento every once in a while. I work for a nonprofit. We are based in Contra Costa, and we have our office in Martinez. It's called Northern California Family Center. It's a foster care agency, and we have a runaway youth program. And people can call our number to when there are crises that come up. Let's see, I'm also a volunteer. I'm a member with ACE, the Alliance of Californians for Community Empowerment. So we get involved in campaigns for the entire state, but also in local issues. We have at least one council member in Richmond who's a member of ACE, Melvin Willis. So I'll just show my t-shirt. It has the ACE logo. See? So thank you, and I'm glad to see Sherry here this morning.
Great, okay, well, let's see, we're kind of behind now, but I thought this was really important. And maybe we'll ask others who join us to put their name and to put their one thing that they do for themselves in the chat. And that way everybody, and your information, your contact information, that way we capture it. And so we have it there. So maybe we should
move forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, because we are like 10 minutes behind. Yeah. So today we have updates on federal immigration issues from Congressman Mark Desaulnier's office, Representative Ryan Thomas Brown.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. So to be perfectly upfront, we will have some legislative discussion, though predominantly I'll be discussing the district side of things, the casework side, and what our office can do to directly assist constituents with immigration issues. Though I will start with a brief legislative update to kind of caveat that, being as we're coming into a brand new Congress. Every time a new Congress happens, all those bills that were sitting there have to be reintroduced into the House of Representatives before they can get pushed into any type of next step. And we are 5 days away from a new administration, which I'm sure all of you are aware will distinctly affect how immigration in this country will be looked at and affected from all across the world. So I'll start off in the previous Congress, though the Democrats were in charge of the House, and they had made an immigration reform a priority, and the congressman had been pushing for that. One of the major bills that the congressman supported was the American Dream and Promise Act. And that in that bill was a pathway to citizenship for dreamers and their families, as well as providing permanent protections to people in the U.S. under the temporary protected status. Unfortunately, these last 4 years under the current administration have seen a very large number of discriminatory and dangerous changes within the immigration system. And a lot of the time spent in the House has been fighting against those changes and investigating into the Trump administration. I'm sure everybody remembers the family separation policies under the Trump administration, which everyone in the office and the congressman are vehemently opposed to. And it obviously resulted in parents being deported and children being kept in cages along the border and across the United States. The House Oversight Committee and Judiciary Committee have both led extensive investigations into the practice. And we've been instrumental in the courts that are forcing the Trump administration to reverse this policy. The congressman himself actually did go down to the border and see these cages. There's no other way to say it. These cages and look at this child separation, and he spoke about that. I don't have an exact date for you, but I think the interview is available. That was back when Ms. Paragon worked with me in the Richmond office before she left us. So this is actually kind of throwback for me because I am currently filling Jessica's old role when it comes to immigration. So talk about having the person who taught you having to present to them. It's kind of nerve-wracking. So the House Oversight Committee immediately jumped in when the president also attempted to end deferred action. And I understand that we'll kind of go a little bit more into DACA momentarily, but that was a large issue as it came up. The president attempted to end deferred action, and there was a large number of hearings and demands for documentation. And after those requests were made, the Trump administration did restore the program. Under this new administration, under the Biden administration that starts in 5 days, one of the first priorities that we're going to be looking to do is undoing all of the inhumane changes that he made to immigration, the system, the asylum system, and the refugee systems, and then attempting to continue making proactive changes in the immigration system so that it actually benefits the individuals that want to come to our country and the individuals that are part of our society and that give benefit to everyone that they come into contact with. Specifically on the DACA, the American Dream and Promise Act, the House passed it on June 4th, 2019. It was a vote of 237 to 187. One of the things that bill would have done was provide a pathway to citizenship for dreamers themselves. As I'm sure you are aware, the Senate itself was not under Democratic control, and that bill was blocked there, and no more progress was made on that bill. The legislation to protect dreamers and other unauthorized children arrivals have been going back all the way to 2001 and been consistently trying to push through, but none of those bills have been enacted into law. Under the president, September 2017, like I said before, DHS, Department of Homeland Security, They did issue a memorandum rescinding DACA, which prompted a large number of legal challenges. But in June of 2020, the Supreme Court required that Department of Homeland Security reinstated DACA, which they did so. Though the congressman and our colleagues, Democratic colleagues that we have in the House, are very pleased with the Supreme Court ruling, it's still not the extent that he'd like to go, and he's committed to making sure that the DACA program becomes permanent through congressional law and allows individuals that are on the program to have that pathway to citizenship. Currently, the DACA wait times there, the DACA is being processed in 3 facilities, the California Service Center, Nebraska Service Center, and Vermont Service Center. Each of them have their own kind of time frame on how long it takes. So the California Service Center doesn't actually process renewals. They're only processing new requests. And it's 3 to 8 months for processing time. For the Nebraska Service Center, it's 3 to 5.5 months for renewals, but 7 to 9 months for requests, new requests. And the Vermont Service Center is 4 to 6 months for a renewal and 3 to 5.5 months for a request. And if anybody ever wants to see what the processing times are for USCIS, if you know the case number, or excuse me, if you know the form number that you file with, so an N400 or whatever it may be, you can go to the USCIS website and check processing times, and you'll be able to tell what the processing times are for those individuals based on what service center or location that they're working on. And if you have their receipt number, you could look at the front, and there's going to be 3 letters at the front of the receipt number, and those 3 letters directly determine which location is currently working on your case. In some cases, if the case has progressed far enough, it may still say, MSC, and it's going to be in the National Benefit Center, but it's already been transferred for interview to San Francisco. If you were to look up that processing time, they would be able to say, no, I'm sorry, this has been moved to San Francisco. Or if you know your pending interview, you would know that the interview is in San Francisco and not necessarily in the East Coast. On that kind of note, I'll kind of pivot gears into the casework side. Our office is able to assist outside of just in general with federal agencies. Our office is able to assist with immigration types of cases. Now, we're not allowed to file, nor are we allowed to provide any form of legal advice. That's what nonprofits such as Catholic Charities are able to do, and the other various nonprofit immigration attorneys that are throughout Contra Costa County. But we are, once an application has been submitted, we are able to check the status, request an expedite if you provide us with the expedite documents. And this doesn't just apply to USCIS, it applies to visas. So if somebody's applying for a family member is applying for a visitor's visa. These services that we provide, I can't stress this enough because I get asked this multiple times. The services that we provide in our office are free. We will not ask you for any form of money. It is free for you to come to our office and request assistance, nor do we care if you're a citizen or not. The only time are we going to ask you if you're a citizen is if it's directly relevant to the case, and it's because we need to know for the case itself, and that will stay with our office. We're not going to go notify anybody about that information. If you come to our office looking for assistance with, say, DACA, there's a form that will need to be filled out. It's a privacy release form through our office that only goes between us and the federal agencies. It's not shared anywhere else. It's never going to go anywhere outside of that. That form is submitted to the federal agency, and they provide us with the response, which we in turn provide to the constituent or individual who is looking for assistance. Like I said, when you come to the office for an immigration matter, I know some people are concerned because we're a governmental agency. I want to stress that it's not relevant to us if you're a citizen or not. We're not going to provide different services to a citizen or a non-citizen. It's not relevant. We're happy to assist anybody that lives within our congressional district. If it's a different congressional district, then I will soft hand you off to the congressional office that is in our area. Luckily, we are surrounded by other like-minded members of Congress that there's not necessarily that type of concern either. We are able to assist with status checks on individual immigration cases, as well as visa cases, but all federal agencies as well. So if you know individuals that are looking for assistance with, say, Social Security, Medicare, Department of Veterans Affairs, things along those lines, we're able to reach out to those agencies as well. Something to note, we are not able to overturn decisions that have already been made. So if you come to our office after, say, your application has been denied, we are not able to overturn that denial. But you would be able to potentially appeal it or refile, depending on the type of situation. And we would direct you to speak with one of those nonprofit immigration attorneys that would assist you, as opposed to a for-profit immigration attorney that could potentially cost slightly more. But the choice is always yours on where you want to go from that. That is, I think, all that I have, unless anybody has any questions. I will do my best to answer them. I'm a casework person, not a legislative person, but I will do my best.
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I can't turn my camera on. I'm a citizenship teacher, and we are wondering if there's any way that the new Biden administration might consider delaying the new citizenship test, because it appears it has not really been tested to see if the pass rates are the same.
So regarding the citizenship test, I believe it's December for all individuals that have filed for their N-400 after December 1st, 2020, they will be the ones that have to begin taking that test. Now, I'm not sure if anybody's actually taken it yet, because that processing time for the N-400s are so long that I would be shocked if anybody who filed a month and a half ago is already, in that far in the process. But that stated, the Congressman is well aware of the citizenship test changes that were implemented, as well as the different verbiage that is within that test. And we're aware of that. I know there's been a outcry for individuals to have that test rechanged during the Biden administration. I personally don't have an answer as to it, like what that time frame is. I have a feeling that we'll gain more information. We're kind of in a weird gray area right now with that, because we're starting to hear what the Biden administration's plans are for certain aspects. Unfortunately, I don't have a direct pathway or knowledge of any pathway or plan that is already currently in place. But I can assure you that the Congressman is well aware of the citizenship test, as well as the issues associated with that new citizenship test that was pushed out under the Trump administration.
Thank you.
I also have a question, and I'm also a citizenship teacher. Women from Yemen are starting to come to class. So I was wondering if you see any change in U.S. policy towards Yemen coming with the Biden administration, or is yeah, that's it.
So unfortunately, it's kind of the same answer for Kristen. We're aware that there are certain individual countries, predominantly Islamic countries, that are currently banned from receiving any form of immigration status and such to the United States, except for very specific waiver situations. The Congressman has spoken out against this in the past. As per what that plan is, and unfortunately, I don't have an answer as towards that plan, though I'm sure that the administration's as the new administration comes in, a lot of those policies that would be religious or racial based are definitely going to be thoroughly looked at least by the Congressman and by our office. We're aware of them, and we obviously want to give all individuals from across the world an equal chance of becoming citizens or coming to the United States if that's what they so choose to do.
And is the Congressman involved in any efforts to get food to the people in Yemen?
I don't have a specific answer to that one, but I could certainly ask for you.
Thank you.
I'd like to I'd just like to give some information for or Ken Ryan, right?
Yes. Another Ryan.
I think an organization that would have that would get a lot of information is CARE, the Council of American Islamic Relations. They have an office in the San Jose area, and their phone number is 408-986-9874. And they've always been very good in providing information. They assist people when there's discriminatory issues.
Great.
And they're a national organization.
Thank you.
Hey, be sure and check the chat. People are putting a lot of great information in there. So be sure and check that, follow that and copy it if you can. Are there any more questions?
I have one more thing I just wanted to bring up. This isn't directly related to immigration, but I would like to bring it to the Congressman's attention.
Okay.
Basically, Ken and I both work for the local adult school that serves the Richmond, San Pablo area. And one of the problems we're having right now during the pandemic is that we're all teaching virtually. We're not meeting with our students at all, but the Office of Career, Technical, and Adult Education, which is a federal agency, still is making it our funding, our federal funding, which is considerable, is contingent on us giving standardized tests to the students. So far, we have not been able to do this. It's really, the test security measures that we're supposed to take make it really difficult to do it in an online environment. And so really the only way to do it in any very effective way is in person. We have not done that yet. So we've already done we're already half a year without having done this testing because our area is very, very strongly affected by COVID, as I think and our students especially, they're all immigrants, and the immigrant community is really being ravaged. And it's really unfair because there are, depending on where you are, like more affluent districts are able to test and they can get their funding, but we can't get ours because we can't test our students without putting them at risk. As I understand it, the OCTAE is kind of starting to consider doing what they did last year, which was to award funding based on what districts had earned the last year that they could really test. We'd like to advocate for that, and if there's any way that the Congressman could put some pressure on them, or at least bring up our plight, that would be good.
Yeah, so I'm happy to pass that along to the Congressman for you. I know that my coworker Taylor posted her information in the chat box. I believe that she's no longer with us though. She's still listening, but she's had to take a separate meeting. I think she's doing the dual screen thing right now. But if you reach out to our office in in Richmond, Miss Kimber actually works with Department of Education related issues.
Oh, okay.
And I believe OCTAE falls under the U.S. Department of Education, if I'm not incorrect. Yes, I just looked it up. So if you were to reach out to her and discuss this with her, there might be some assistance that our office can provide directly with OCTAE.
Thank you.
But I don't want to speak over her and get it incorrect. So.
Right.
Ryan, you're correct. I'm sorry, I had to take a call. But yes, if you want to reach out to me directly, I can definitely pass it along to our Washington, D.C. office and maybe connect you with someone on our policy team as well.
Thank you.
William, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I have a question for you. In cases that, they need to be expedited, I know for a fact that having a letter, having a congressman kind of recommended you to send that letter to USCIS could help. So if it is the case, and we have at Catholic Charities like some cases that need to be expedited, like what's the process to follow, and have you seen that can help? Or
Yes and yes. So USCIS will never necessarily tell me that, you know, sending in that inquiry helped speed up the case, yet somehow now they have an interview 2 weeks later, sort of thing. Now it could just be timing, or it could be the letter. They'll never tell me that. But I put my information in the chat box. If you have individuals that you're working with Catholic Charities that are looking to try and ask for an expedite of the case, if they reach out to our office and they could ask for me, then I'll send them the form. Unfortunately, USCIS has gotten very strict about this. If the attorney's name is on the form, even their name, they won't accept it now. So it has to be the individual constituent themselves. Now, what they do with the information that we provide them, that's entirely their prerogative. If they go right back to you, that's fine. But have them reach out to us. If they live within our district, we'll have them fill out the form. We'll submit the inquiry to USCIS with the expedite request, and we'll see if USCIS expedites it or not. I do recommend that whatever time they're trying to do an expedite request, that they include documentation showing why it should be expedited. So say it's a work authorization, show that they're going to get fired if they don't have this work authorization, or if you know, it's a stay of action, show that if they leave the country, then they're, you know, they don't have the same medical support and they could pass away. Like things like that, that will go farther. If I send them a form that just says I would like my case expedited, they're typically going to respond and say, well, you didn't give us a reason why, so it's denied.
Thank you. That will help.
No problem. And that applies to anyone at all.
Thank you so much. Okay, I think we're going to move on. I do have one last thing. Could you give us a little update on Mark's health?
He's doing much better. I'm not sure if you saw, we are blasting out town halls last week. Like, I think we had one on Friday, and then we had another one on Tuesday. So he's doing much better. He did go back to the Capitol, and unfortunately was there during the certification and the rating of the Capitol. But he is back. He is back in district, and he is recovering. So he is doing much better, and I'll definitely be sure to pass along all of your guys' well wishes. That is all I had, though I did have some one little cool tidbit. Since we are talking about immigration, I'm really proud of her. My godmother was a Mexican citizen and green card holder for my entire life. Helped raise me growing up in San Pablo, and she gave me a call yesterday and last month, and notified me that she is now an American citizen. She was sworn in after her interview. She did her interview, she got approved, and they took her to the next room, and it swore her in right off the bat. So I'm telling the world because I'm really excited for her. So I just wanted to give my Thea a shameless plug. But I have nothing else. Thank you all so much for having me, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All of that in the chat. A lot of connections there for us too. All right, let's move on to our next speakers. This is on, we're going to be learning about the community learning hubs of the district, and also the reopening of schools. We have a couple of presenters here, and I think we're going to start with Christy or Tracy, whoever's ready right now to start is fine. And you can introduce yourself. And oh, I'm sorry, Martine, you're starting with the learning hubs. That's right. We've got so many representatives. I mean, West Contra Costa is in the house here today.
And I have a full house today, so
I know.
moving from room to room trying to find a space that'll be quiet.
Okay.
So good morning, everybody. I'm actually here. Tracey Logan will be joining me. So I see Tracey is here as well, and we're matching in our burgundy. So we're the two ladies with the burgundy shirts. Tracey's going to kick us off to talk about reopening, and then I'm going to follow up her presentation with hubs. So give me one moment to share my screen.
Great. Good morning, all. It's good to see you. Happy Friday. Thanks, Martine, for pulling that up. So I wanted to share a little bit about where we are as a district with our reopening plans and our reopening work. So if you go to the first slide, essentially, as you all know, we are still in distance learning, 100% distance learning. Our students are at home, teachers are as well, and essential workers are coming in to our school buildings to make sure those essential services are still happening. Delivery of food, distribution of food, technology, etc. Our intention is to go back to physical school as soon as it is safe for staff and students to do so. But obviously the health and safety of our students and our staff is the #1 priority. So we are working, we are building dashboards with indicators that must be met for return to school. We do have an agreement with our bargaining units that was made last summer around 9 conditions that must be met in order for us to return to school. In addition to that, we are doing the work internally to prepare our facilities, to develop contact tracing protocols, processes. We are piloting a system right now for entry procedures to our facilities that involve a QR code so that anyone that comes into the building scans, it's automatically updated, time-stamped, so that we can do the easy contact tracing on the back end. So we are piloting that now with the intention of rolling that out to all elementary schools in February. We are also in the midst of gathering feedback from families around what families want and need and their comfort level about returning to physical school this year or not. So what needs to be true for families to return? Vaccine prolific throughout, a certain level of threshold in terms of being in the red tier, the purple tier, what's important to families. Or is it just that families have resigned to distance learning for the remainder of this school year? So that survey closes today at 8 p.m. So we'll have more data as of next week as to where our families are. We are seeing since December, much like the rest of our community, right, in the county and surrounding areas, a spike in positive COVID cases. So that's true for our community. We're tracking that. And as I said, putting those COVID protocols in place to ensure that we have that proper communication. We will also have a study session sponsored by our board next Wednesday, the 20th, on COVID-19 and schools. So that I invite you all to attend. That'll be at 5:30 p.m. Great opportunity to hear from county health and epidemiology with a real focus on science and transmission to understand the facts of what is now and what needs to be true in order for us to return. So the last thing I just wanted to mention is that we're also spending a lot of time and energy focused on summer offerings. So knowing that students are, getting the very best education that they can while in this remote environment, that particularly for our youngest learners, particularly for our focal students who need additional supports, that we want to make sure we have robust summer offerings with the hopes that we are able to return to physical school and we can do some real focused, concentrated summer work with students before we start again in August. So that is a quick update on where we are with reopening. If the next 2 slides just have a flyer for the board session next week in English and then in Spanish. And then I'll pass the baton to Martine to talk about the hubs.
Thank you. So in late October, we partnered with community to open in-person learning hubs for students who are struggling with distance learning. So these learning hubs are learning pods, if you will, that consist of several classrooms or cohorts consisting of 10 to 12 students, and they're generally paired with 2 adults in each cohort. The purpose of these hubs is really to assist students struggling with distance learning to ensure that they have access, 1 to a device, 2 to Wi-Fi that's working really well, support with asynchronous assignments, and then students also have access. These are full day programs, so they run 8 hours. So in the time where students are not in school or in class or when they have breaks, they have in-person support with out-of-school enrichment such as arts and crafts, science projects, physical activity, mentorship, things of the nature. We've heard from Montalvan in particular that having students in hubs has also increased student access to the WIN block to get additional support where they weren't able to really attend those sessions previously. So administrators are also getting really creative with how they get access to these particular students who have demonstrated a struggle with accessing distance learning at home. The hubs are as safe as they can be. For each hub, prior to entering the actual space, the hubs do daily temperature checks. They do exposure surveys for students and for their parents, just asking if they've been around anyone that may have been exposed to COVID, if they've experienced any symptoms for COVID. There's sanitation after each cohort and common spaces, such as the restroom or play structures. So there's frequent sanitation. This requires a lot of custodial support. All of the students are wearing masks and they are social distanced throughout the duration of the program. Additionally, they don't generally allow parents to enter inside the space. So in general, only staff and student participants are the only ones that are actually inside the actual hub. So who does the hub serve? Priority is given to students who have demonstrated that they're unable to successfully access distance learning from home. So in general, the criteria that is established to determine if a student is the right fit is if students determining upon referral whether students have reliable transportation or parent commitment to attend hubs daily. These hubs generally cost about $150 per student per week. So that's the maximum cost that the district will pay to operate any hub. Because they're so limited in access, it's really important that students can commit to attending daily. Students who have 3 or more absences are in danger of losing their spot in the hub, so we get that commitment up front. Students who have demonstrated unstable housing or are homeless or foster, this is a real challenge for that demographic. Our fit students don't have a place to plug in, considering shelter in place and that everything is closed. So these hubs have been really critical for them. Another priority area is students who demonstrate low attendance and or engagement or have had a history of truancy in the past. Students with low GPA or have demonstrated learning loss. And then we also opened up an opportunity for administrators to refer students based on just their knowledge of struggles that may not be captured through the data that we're looking at as a district. What we found here is that students who have parents, particularly single parents or 2 working parents, they are often students that are struggling, and that's generally who's been referred from that admin discretion. And then otherwise, students who are anticipated to gain benefit just from the services of being around other students, having access to the enrichment or the mentorship or other ops that the hubs offer. So our current status is we have 2 hubs that are operating right now. We have Richmond Parkway, YMCA location. That location is prioritized to serve students from 5 sites that are listed here: Bayview, Highland Lake, and Terra Hills. 8 students from Bayview, Highland Lake, and Terra Hills have access to that particular hub. And then Montalvan actually got a grant to add on an additional 14 students. So in the instance of Montalvan, they have 22 spots at the YMCA hub. In total, there's 54 spots available. Currently, there are 32 district enrolled students. When we initially started the hub initiative, we launched this initiative in partnership with CCOE. So for the spots that CCOE paid for, they opened that up to their community partners. Shelters for DV were their priority area. So there were students who from charters and other schools that were participating that may not have been district students, which is why we highlighted that number here. That's the count that we have. So for this particular hub, CCOE paid $120,000 for the hub, which paid actually through January because we had not filled all of the spots. We had some carryover, which funded the hub through January. And then the district is going to pick up the cost for the hub through June, which will be another $120,000 at the rate that I shared before, $150 per week per student. This is pending board approval. Bright Futures is the other hub that is currently operating. This hub did enrollment a bit differently. In opposed to having sites refer students, they chose to serve students that they were already serving prior to COVID. So students that they already, and families that they already had relationship with, and I've listed the sites that those students come from. So there's 94 spots available. This is another joint funded hub between CCOE and the district. So there's 45 district enrolled students here, and the other students being served are students from communities, such as maybe attending charters. And the cost of this hub, there was $125 paid by CCOE through January, and then $150 committed by the district January through June. We are currently in the process of pulling data from these students. You guys may have known the district purchased a Power School add-on called eCollect, and we'll be using that platform to monitor student attendance. What we can see preliminarily is that all of the students that are referred, that have been referred thus far from the district, are African American and Latino, which is interesting. It also matches district data in terms of where we see students struggling with attendance and chronic absenteeism. And so that was interesting. So it appears preliminarily that students being served are the ones that are really struggling. And we've also seen increases in terms of attendance. We have to clean up the data a little bit. We pulled data for all students who were referred, and we want to dissect by students who have actually been attending. And so soon in a board memo, maybe at a board meeting after the board study session, you'll see more of that data come out. Thank you.
Great. Are we ready for questions? Okay. Okay.
Yes, go ahead and if you have a question, please, this is the time.
I have a question. Is there a maximum number of students by school for referrals to the hub?
Yes. So for the hubs that we currently have operating, Bayview, Highland Lake, and Terra Hills could only refer up to 8 students. And then because Montalvan secured additional funding from Scully Foundation, they have 22 spots. So each of the hubs do have a certain capacity.
Thank you.
I noticed that Verde and Nystrom weren't on the site served, and I was wondering why not.
So that's a good question. So one of the challenges with these hubs is finding a location as well as a community partner to operate the hub. Because district sites are not open, we can't offer up our sites currently. And so in order to open up a hub, we have to have a community location as well as a vendor that's willing to operate. We did briefly, we were exploring a partnership with City of Richmond to offer a hub for Verde students and RPAL for Nystrom students. But with shelter in place, those sites have closed down until the numbers decrease.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I just have that comment that, I immediately noticed that the kind of like the hubs that are open are in I would say better areas, right? Because the schools, I'm thinking about Lincoln, Coronado, all the schools, that Stige, right? that are kind of like the students are kind of like lower, and there's no hubs in these areas, which is really concerning. I honestly thought that the hubs weren't happening, but they are happening in other areas. So that's very interesting. I would love, to see that the students that are kind of like the lowest get some support
access.
here. Yeah.
Jessica, I completely agree with you. We were looking at our chronic absent data to guide where we would offer more hubs. We actually have district dollars that were set aside to open additional hubs, which we plan to bring forth to the board in December. So we were looking to have City of Richmond operate a hub that would serve Perry's, Nystrom, Dejan, kind of like that Southside Central Corridor. Stige, Expanded Learning also had some unallocated funds that we were hoping to really use to launch hubs as well at those areas that you named. So there were 2 contracts that were pulled. We were going to open up a hub led by GRIP to focus only on fit students from anywhere in the district, and hoping to have transportation for those students to get to that hub. So we have some stuff on the table, but the board is going to complete the study session and figure out the best way to move forward in this route, as well as like what can we do internally, explore that option, and then we'll bring the hubs back for approval. Great point.
Yeah, I have to say, I saw that on the agenda and I was really happy to see that was going to happen, and then it was pulled and I was very upset about that. And I think one thing we can all do is contact our board members and tell them, approve the contracts for the hubs, because it was going to be in our more needy areas, and yet it was pulled. And then they just table it, and then we need this to go forward, and they need to hear from the community to, go forward with this. Why are we waiting? These kids are waiting. These kids are in need. But anyway, that's my feeling about that. So any other questions about these? Good questions. Okay, I guess you guys did such a great job. Everybody's got their questions answered. And anything else that you want to know, put in the chat. So the next thing is the study session, which is coming up. And please be vocal and let people know how you feel about all of this. And let the superintendent know, and the board also, because you're right, Jessica, the areas where they're putting these, we've got to make sure they're serving our most needy areas, for sure. Okay, so it looks like we can wrap up and start doing our announcements. Thank you, West Contra Costa, showing up, and Martine and Christy was here, and Tracy, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Hope you'll continue to come and come to our meetings. Thank you. All right, any last comments about this topic or questions before we move on to announcements? Okay, why don't we usually we pass around a sign up for announcements, but why don't we get started with announcements, and you can just raise your hand. I'm going to let's start with Betty. Betty, I know you always have some good announcements for us. Let's start with you. Okay. Oh, you have to unmute. We can't hear you. Unmute yourself. Yeah. There you go.
Okay. My announcement relates to healthcare for all and the work on getting universal healthcare in California. We know that President Biden or President-elect Biden has said he will veto a Medicare for All bill. And we also are aware that the Affordable Care Act has a provision in it that allows for states to apply for a waiver. So the Health of California Now coalition, of which Concilio Latino is a member, and I don't know whether Jessica has heard information directly from them, or if you, Consuelo, have found out any more information. But what I know at this point is that they are launching an online petition to ask the governor to apply for a waiver. And this is an online effort. There will be paper petitions available eventually. I have not gotten the instructions and the actual form yet, but word is coming about that. And if you have anything to add, Consuelo, that you have learned in your emails, feel free.
No, that's exactly what you shared. That's where I am also.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, announcements. Okay, William, we'll start with you and then Jessica.
Hi everyone. So this is an amazing meeting and thanks for having me here. So I'll be attending on behalf of Catholic Charities every month. So just a quick announcement, I posted on the chat, but we are having a DACA info sessions every Wednesday. 2 p.m. it's English speakers and 3 p.m. is for Spanish speakers. Because right now, like a lot of people, they are wondering they can apply for DACA and what documents they need to gather. And you, as most of you that are in the educational field, that will help us, to give you our insight and, help people that you might know how to collect this type of documentation to make a smooth process, as well as we are taking all immigration remedies. We have also in Richmond, we have our UUM program, which is on accompaniment minors. So in case that a minor that is coming to the United States by itself or just with one guardian, they might qualify for an immigration remedy. So feel free, I'm gonna leave my contact information so you can reach me out and we can do something about it, as well as informational sessions that we will talk hopefully next month. All right.
Thank you. I'm so glad you're going to be coming back. Yeah.
Thank you.
Information. Okay. Jessica Barragan.
Thank you. So as mentioned previously, my name is Jessica and I work for the Literacy for Every Adult program known as LEAP. And we recently received funding from the California State Library to fill some seats for our career online high school program. So everything would be online. So if you know of any adults 18 and up who are looking to get their high school diploma or get a GED, they can reach out to me and we are able to sponsor them for some seats for the career online high school. I also noticed that there was a question about volunteer opportunities, and we are also looking for volunteers for tutors specifically. And it would be one-on-one instruction with our adult learners. And I'm happy to go over a little more in depth for anyone that has questions, but I also posted my information on the chat box there.
Great, thank you. Yeah, we saw that. People do want to know how they can tutor. Great. Who's next?
Okay, I'll say something.
Yes.
Yes. So ACE, the Alliance of Californians for Community Empowerment, we're in a campaign right now to get the legislators up in Sacramento to vote in favor of stopping evictions. In other words, people that live in apartments or maybe they're individuals that are going through foreclosures. So we're in this campaign to stop the evictions and to pardon rent, at least for a certain time period, because the deadline for protections is till the end of this month. So we are making phone calls today, and there's talk about many of us in the organization going up to Sacramento in the next few days. Just to let you know. Thank you.
Oh, that's great. Very good. Any other questions? Mr. Kleinman.
I was just going to say thank you guys so much. What an enlightening meeting this has been. At Pinole Valley, the largest population of students we have in any one group are our Latino students, and we're always looking for opportunities to highlight and celebrate them. They make up our traditionally we've had valedictorians and salutatorians, scholarship winners. So we're going to continue to pursue opportunities to celebrate and put forward some of our students who are Latinx who have done great work, and just wanted to know that there's a place and a forum for issues involving our Latino community.
Thank you, Mr. Kleinman. And here, if you know any leaders at student leaders, potential really, strong leaders, or who want to know more about the community, send us their emails if they'd be interested in attending. We need that young voice here for sure. So if you could recommend some that could be part of this group, that would be wonderful, because I agree.
My pleasure. I'll send a couple names your way of both underclassmen and seniors as well. The seniors, of course, are going to be moving on, but yeah, happy to do so.
Oh, that's great. And I 100% agree. We've got so many good things going on that people don't know about. So we need to celebrate those things. All right. Any other, Jessica, did you have anything you wanted to say?
Well, first, Mr. Clayman, I was one of your students at Kennedy, and my brother also. And my brother really remembers you and really he really liked your class, and it was very inspiring for him.
Thank you
and
so much.
He ended up getting his degree too in physics. Rodrigo, I don't know if you remember him. Anyways.
Do. And it's funny, Jessica, no matter what position I attain, now that I'm a principal, the most meaningful interactions are the ones where people talk about my time in the classroom. Thank you. And it does my heart good to see you and to hear about your brother, and to know that he probably knew more physics when he was in high school than I do now. I will take no credit for that, but as long as he still follows and, watches history documentaries from time to time, I'll feel like a job was well done.
Very well done. And thank you. Okay, so with that, I am wondering if any of you know, I know that Miriam has been sending emails. I don't know if anyone's going to that group. I know that, we've been hardly hit by COVID in our community. Between taking care of my kids and working and, just taking care of myself, I haven't had time to go to the meetings. I know that the county opened vaccination availability for people 65 and over. Anybody knows anything, any updates about that? If not, what I'm also thinking for next meeting, and even before, hopefully, we can get some updates from the health department and then pass it on to our community. And I was also thinking about that with, immigration information, especially, William. We had been working before with Catholic Charities, and they had provided us, flyers and all that. If you can send them over so that we can spread the word about events. But also, if anybody knows anything, just send the emails to us, and then we can just shoot an email to everyone who's in the email list. I think we have over 200 people, so that people know what's going on.
Thank you. Actually, we're up to 300 now, 300 emails on our Concilio list. So Jessica, I think that's a good topic for February. The county health department will try to get a speaker. What do you think?
Yes, we have William as a speaker. Then we had also discussed bringing our senator, I forget her name, Nancy Skinner.
Oh, that's right. A representative.
And obviously COVID, because this is like so important.
Okay, so.
Okay, Consuelo, I have a question.
Sure.
Does anyone here, are they familiar with the curative centers?
No.
No.
No? Okay, so if you want to get a COVID-19 test, you go to the website, I put it in the chat, www.curative.com.
Okay.
And you put in where your location is, you choose the date and time, and see which center is closest to where you live. It's a free test. They might discount something from your insurance coverage, but it's generally for free. It's not the type of test where they stick something up your nose. They use it's like a Q-tip that you put in your mouth. But I've gone, it's very good. I went to the center at the Berkeley Adult School on San Pablo Avenue.
Okay. And I do know there's place now, it's like 65 and over, so that you can, at this point, through the county office, I'll put the link in, you can register to get a vaccine as well.
Right.
Yeah, so we'll put that in.
Jessica, I would be interested in knowing if Miriam or who the point person will be to see how they follow up with COVID patients. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because at least I know two people that I was helping in here in the community that were COVID positive. And one of them doesn't have health care. I've been trying to reach out and I have the contact information. So I'm taking care of that for that person. But the second person does have a county doctor, but she's only spoken to the doctor once, and both people are well. It's been almost a month from their COVID case, but they went through a really bad period where we were really concerned about both of them. And I just wonder how the county's keeping track of people like them. What kind of support system do they have? Because my husband got COVID and he's a Kaiser patient, and Kaiser's wonderful. They have a kid that goes out to the house. They have mental counseling because it's a mental drain having COVID for so many reasons. And also the doctor followed up every other day. So, and it didn't happen for this county patient. So I would just be interested in knowing what is the game plan with COVID patients, especially with Latinos that struggle with language barriers, which is the case for these two people. And that's why I had to step in and help them as much as I could. So I don't know if that would be a question directed to Medium, or who will be somebody to give us that type of information.
Yeah, I think Medium will be a good point person to bring, to invite and see what's going on.
Yeah, and we can
do that.
The questions that have come up, we can pass those on to her now, and then maybe she can send us some information that we could send out through the emails.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have to wait till February, but so we'll try to keep that flow of information. Everything's changing so quickly. We have to keep that, keep all that information going.
Up to date, yes.
Thank you. Okay, great. Thank you all so much. Wow, I can't believe this. So this has been a great meeting, everybody. And on behalf of, let me see, O3, I think you and I are the two electeds here left in the room. And yeah. I just wanted to say how this is such a great, area to hear what's going on. And then we bring it to our boards to let them, to educate them, because a lot of them don't know these things that are going on and the resources that are out there. Okay. So, and I thank you for being here because, you know, this is so important for electeds to be a part of. Do you have any thoughts or?
I'm happy to be here and thank you for inviting me. And this is a learning experience because it's going to take all of us to help make our students and the learning hubs. I am for those learning hubs because we need them in the low income area. So I'm definitely for that.
Great, thank you so much. And you know, we always use our electeds to go and give them problems, but we also need to support them by giving them information of what's going on because they speak for us. We speak for you, and we have to be able to say, here's what I'm hearing. And so our job is to let all of those elected let them know what's going on, what are the issues, so they're not acting in a vacuum. So that's how we step up and let everybody know, whether it's Desaulnier or Skinner or all of them have to know what's going on. Okay, any last words? Anybody have any last thoughts?
I'll say one thing since I didn't jump in yet. I'm Madeline Cronenberg. I used to be an elected on the school board. I'm really here for the League of Women Voters. We're going to have a big event in March, and it's an equity forum. I'll send out the information specifically as it gets developed. It's still being put together, but it's certainly going to be informed a great deal by a lot of what we talk about here in this group. And the other thing I want to underscore, Consuelo, is what you just said. Many people, although perhaps not the folks here on this call, but a lot of people think that electeds, at least at the school board level and at other agency levels, city council levels, that they have a staff. That is not true. They do not have a staff of any kind whatsoever. They are reliant on their own ability to do research. And the folks that are in the school district really are the staff to the superintendent. They're not the staff to the board. So all that I'm saying is that the more you can serve as a community member, as a staff person, to point things out and to support your board members, the more helpful you are. And to what happens a lot of times is people assume that the board members certainly know this because their staff is letting them know. And that is never true. That is never true. So what I'm doing now is putting, like for O3, I pulled the contracts for you so that you can be, just so that they're there that you can look at for the hubs. I think the hubs have to go forward. And it was a real mistake to not allow those children to get services just because somebody pulled it from a meeting. I really, really am upset about that. But I know the answer to handling it is to have a board member, a number of board members bring it forward so that it can be cured, that there is a remedy. So that's all I want to say. It's my 2 cents.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, everybody. I mean, all of you are just, this is wonderful. I feel really good, energized and hopeful. I'm so hopeful. And, you know, we're all in this together. And I feel overwhelmed. Jessica, let's, I guess we're ready to end our meeting here. Okay.
Thank you, everybody. And, you know, here we are, you know, hoping to provide a space for information, for education, so that our community is informed. You know, hopefully we will continue to have positive announcements and, you know, hoping that this pandemic is over soon and that those vaccines roll out soon for our community, especially for the most impacted and, you know, for the most needy individuals in our community. Thank you.
Okay, and we'll stay on a little longer if people want to stay and chat, but our official meeting now, I believe, is adjourned. And we will see you next month.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, I'm ending the recording now, but it will get posted on the Facebook page.
Perfect. Thank you.
What's your Facebook page?